Hi, my name is Sue Yavor. I'm the Brightspace administrator for Eastern University. We have been a Brightspace customer since 2015. Over the past couple years, we have seen a large increase in the amount and types of data that people want to be able to put onto Brightspace and share. So in addition to our courses that are controlled by the registrar, we have different departmental sites that have information, syllabi, guidelines for each of our different colleges, several of our programs, as well as supplemental materials for the library or using APA skills, or even faculty training, faculty workshops. So trying to find a way to be able to allow people to find the materials they need without interfering with our registrar controlled classes was a need. And with some of the updates to Discover, we have found that it's a great way to meet this need.
Hi, I'm Danielle Curry, a learning experience designer at Eastern University with our Center for Teaching and Learning Technology. I'm also a recent graduate, so a lot of my experience with Brightspace has been on the student side of things rather than the instructional side of things. I'm looking forward to showing you ways that your students can use Brightspace self-enroll features.
Hi, my name is Erin Mendoza-Laude, and I'm an instructional designer at Eastern University. Let's go over how to promote these courses so that users actually enroll and take advantage of the resources prepared for them.
Hi, my name is Alexa Tempareli. I'm an instructional designer and adjunct faculty here at Eastern University. Today I'm going to talk to you about long-term management of self-enroll courses.
So I just want to take a minute and show you some of what we did in the background from the administrator side to set this up and to protect the courses that are registrar controlled from improper enrollments.
Brightspace's self-enroll feature can also help students. Course builders may create sites that provide additional resources or community to incoming or existing students. For example, take our Flex orientation site, LifeFlex, which connects students with critical resources such as time management advice, Brightspace navigational tips, or support services for struggling students. It can connect you to our writing center. This miniature orientation can help first-generation students, underprepared students, or any student who needs a little bit of extra help as they're navigating the strenuous college environment. The second way self-enroll can be used to help students is through specific resource pools on a given subject. Take our APA site, which walks students through the details of APA style. Why is it used? Why do we cite? What is academic dishonesty, and how do we avoid it? These are not specific to a major, and multiple groups of students could benefit from this extra information on APA style. And now they can choose to opt in and learn more about it. Lastly, our department-specific site gets granular about what a student in a given major needs to know. Our College of Education site is the bastion of information here. The sections of the site are broken into traditional undergraduate, non-traditional undergraduate, graduate, student teaching resources, honor society, job opportunities, and newsletters. Each of these sections walks a student through the necessary resources to progress in their education and professional life, from things as small as selecting a major and declaring it, to as difficult as navigating the minutiae of security clearances. Students who aren't sure where to go from here can find what they need to independently guide themselves towards success. And that's one of the strengths of Brightspace's Self-Enroll, is self-guided learning.
Putting these courses together is a lot of time and energy. And for courses that are not required of students and faculty to partake in, we want to make sure that as many users are taking advantage of the resources we put together for them as possible. Users should have access to the Discover page on their Brightspace navigation bar. However, once you start adding a bunch of courses to Discover, that page can be a lot for users to scroll through. So we're going to talk about promoting individual courses so that we're fostering a community of learners who are eager to participate in the courses best suited to their needs. And the key to getting that participation lies in one little link, and that is the link to the courses enrollment page. Courses enrollment page will have the courses banner, the title, the description, and a blue button. that users can click to gain access into the course. This is incredibly important. If you get the link from the course itself, users won't be able to open it. They will get an error message because they haven't enrolled in the course yet to see the homepage. The link you get has to be the enrollment page with the blue button for this to work. Once you have that link, there is so much you can do with it to promote your course. You can take that link and put it into a free QR code generator. You can use a QR code on presentations so you can have users enroll in real time as you're presenting. Or you can put the QR code on posters and flyers that are hung up around your institution. Email is a great way to send the enrollment link out to the users that you think would be best suited for the course. And don't underestimate the power of Brightspace itself. Let's say you're teaching an introductory college writing course. The Writing Center has put together a Discover course all about MLA citations. And you know that that's an area where a lot of your students are really struggling. So within your college writing Brightspace course, you can post a link to that Self-Enroll site as a resource for students who are struggling with MLA citations. You can even offer an incentive for students who enroll in this course. You can add the link to appropriate websites. So really, once you have the link, you can share it however and with whoever you like that has access to Brightspace within your institution. When you share the link to a self-enroll course in whatever form you decide to, be sure to also talk about the context of the course. What's its purpose? Who's it for? What kinds of content or activities can users expect to find? Human beings are predictable. If it's not required of us to do, it takes a lot of effort for us to want to do it. So self-enroll courses being optional means that it's going to take a lot more work and a lot more convincing to get buy-in from users. But when users feel like they have clear expectations for the course, they're much more likely to make a decision based on whether they think it's worthwhile for them to enroll or not. Remember, each of your self-enroll courses has a purpose, and it has an intended audience. Find your intended audience, tell them the purpose of the course, and give them the means to enroll right away. If you follow those steps, your enrollment numbers should go way up.
Self-enroll courses, especially those without a defined start and end date, can be difficult to manage. It's important to have the right personnel in place to ensure their smooth operation. And so we're going to start by talking about the human managed tasks, and then we're going to go on to talk about how we can use some automated systems within Brightspace to make some of this a little bit easier. It's important to have clear expectations for personnel who manage self-enroll courses, but especially those without a defined start and end date, because in other courses we have deadlines and it kind of keeps us on track, but when we don't have an end date, we just kind of have to remember to check in periodically, and that can be difficult. So for instance, you might have someone who acts as a discussion moderator. Anytime we have a discussion area in a course, we set expectations for behavior and communication, but as we know, people don't always follow those expectations. And so that's why it's important to have a discussion moderator, someone who checks in on the discussion areas periodically, make sure that the area remains a safe place for everyone. And if there is someone who is not meeting those behavioral expectations, that they are either then removed from the discussion or removed from the course. Sometimes we have courses where students or members are required to submit work, in which case there needs to be someone who checks in periodically and reviews that work. Who is going to be the person to do that? Who will manage needed updates to content? Will there be a schedule so the course is reviewed for outdated information every semester, every year? Or is it going to be a process where, hey, this is updated, let me submit this to you and you put it in the course for me? Will there be someone who engages with the members of the class, posting announcements and responding to emails? As faculty, we know that engaging with students, engaging with learners is so important. It keeps them motivated. And so even with a self-enroll class where it has no start or end date, We want to make sure that we are engaging with people so that they continue to engage with the content. Now, all these things can be done by one person or multiple people. We also recommend directing students to any needed supports. For instance, we have a self-enroll course for faculty members who are building our online classes. And in that course, we have multiple posts about emailing our instructional design email if they have any questions. The human managed aspect is important, but it can be cumbersome. That's why we can incorporate some automation into these courses when we're building them. For the sake of time, I'm not going to talk about how to incorporate all of these things. I'm just going to give you some ideas of what can be done with them. And then if you use my QR code or you visit bit.ly/tools-for-discovery, and that's hyphenated tools-for-discovery. You can see our resources page where I link to the Brightspace community for each of these items that I'm about to talk about. Let's start by talking about conditional releases. Conditional releases are basically requirements you put on content for students to see it. For instance, in one of our self-enroll courses, we break down a process into steps. So it's step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on. And in order to get to step 2, our learners need to complete step 1. They physically cannot see what is in step 2 until they finish step 1. And then they cannot see step 3 until they finish step 2. And so it builds on itself and students can't skip ahead. Other conditional releases have to do with students submitting work, receiving a grade, being enrolled in a certain group, and there's all different kinds of things you can do with these. Another thing that we love is notifications. Remember all those human managed tasks I just talked about? Wouldn't it be great if they got a notification every time a student submitted work so that they don't need to look at the class every 2 days to see, hey, has anyone submitted anything? If they get an email directly to their inbox, that makes their lives just a little bit easier. And notifications go both ways. You can have instructors sign up for notifications, or you can encourage students to sign up for notifications so that they know every time an announcement is posted, or so that they know every time that they get feedback from their instructor. One of the big ones we use here at Eastern is our intelligent agents. And intelligent agents are these things in Brightspace that basically say, if this happens, do this. And so we set up a bunch of triggers and then something happens based on those triggers. For the most part, we send out emails using them. For instance, when someone joins a course, they get a welcome email from us. And so in that resources page, I gave you an example of one of our emails, complete with a GIF that shows them how to turn on notifications. But intelligent agents are really great because you can do it for lack of activity. If someone hasn't logged in a while, it can remind them like, hey, this exists, it's here for you, come join us. Or if they haven't submitted something, they can get an email about that. These emails can be set up for pretty much anything you want. You just have to play around with them to see what can be done. And then finally, this last thing isn't really an automation thing. It's just something really cool that works along with personalization and engaging learners. And those are called replace strings. And replace strings are these strings of text that you put in Brightspace, and basically it automatically replaces them based on who was logged into the course, what course they are logged into, etc. So for instance, with intelligent agents, we use replace strings to have them sent out to the correct email address. We use replace strings to have the student's name in them to make them a little bit more personable, that kind of thing. They can also be placed in announcements, whatever you would like to do with them. And so when we are thinking about the long-term management of these self-enroll courses, it's important to keep in mind who is responsible for managing the human managed tasks. Are they aware of their responsibilities? How often are they checking in? And then how can we set up automations to support them in managing this class? That's all I have. My colleague Sue will take it away and talk to you a little bit about setting up these self-enroll courses.
So recently, this document has been updated just May 2nd, 2024. by D2L in the community site, and I have a link to this in our session links. This has all the steps that we needed to follow to set this up. First thing that I did was come into the tools and turn on Discover. If you follow along with this, this will take you through all of the steps that we had to set up. The next step was going into the admin tools and going to the course offering information and making sure that we're sharing the right fields so that Discover can display the courses properly. And for that, we have set up the course's description and registration information. The next step was to go into the config variable browser and set up the configuration for Discover. In this case, the variable falls under system enrollment and learner role. And you needed to come in and add a value to the top level of your organization with the value of student. The next step, and this is where I set up that controls so that people can't accidentally turn on Discover for a course that's controlled by our automatic updates from the registrar. So when I set up the permissions, first there's the student. The student gets access to Discover at the organization level. Then I set up the instructor. Apply filter. For the instructor's role, they can access Discover and they can approve enrollments. So this way we give them the option that anybody that wants to join the site can join the site, or they can control who can join it by approving their enrollment requests. I do not give them the ability to manage Discover. Again, this is just simply to make sure it doesn't accidentally get turned on for the wrong classes. So I saved that for the super admin role. So the super admin role gets access to everything, including that key role of managing Discover. So that means that myself and the other people in my department are the only ones that can handle that request to make a course available through Discover. So I created this sample course just as a demo and a test. So I'm going to demonstrate what we need to do to make this available. So under course admin and course offering information, and you can only see this with an admin role for our institution. And here we go. Discover, make this course available in Discover so learners can self-enroll. When I turn this on, I have the option to add enrollment rules. The only rules that we have set up right now are to limit the enrollment to instructors only so that we can post our faculty training sites and our faculty workshop sites inside of Discover. There are a lot of other options, but we don't have that much data like at a department level stored in Brightspace for our students. The other option is to require approval. And for this site, I'm not requiring it. Anybody can join. I'm going to click save. All right, that took a second to update, but here's the course I just added to the Discover page for our Brightspace site. There's also search options that can be set up, and as the admin, I can control the settings here as to what areas people can use to search. And we do not have too many options set up within our system for search options, but the options are there. So I hope you have found this helpful and come up with some uses that you can use within your own organizations.